Hello, you guys. It's Josh Vision, and I'm here to give you my season 1, episode 12 review of Merlin. So, in this episode, we have Gwen's father being arrested for helping, a sorcerer, his name being Tarwin, I believe, using magic. And the same old story basically when it comes to Uther's fear and utter disdain for the use of magic. Even though, if you just use reasonable sense, everyone is known, Gwen's father as being a nice, and decent guy, being a blacksmith for the king and all that stuff. So you would think Uther, after all these years, he would try to think, like play devil's advocate and wonder why, Gwen's father was caught doing this. He must have been tricked, which is something basically both Arthur and Morgana was trying to explain to Uther. Once again, Uther was very hard on his rule, saying basically, I'm the king and we have to reinforce the rule. Even if the slight possibility that, the blacksmith didn't mean to do it, but either way, magic's magic. He was caught dealing with magic, and keep in mind, when it comes to Gwen's father, he was basically, I believe early in the episode, he's been getting a large sum of money, and that's something which Gwen has even commented on when she was saying, "Oh, why you've been giving me all these expensive, gifts? What's the deal?" And I believe part of that is due to her father, the blacksmith, doing these odd jobs. Maybe like with the sorcerer guy. Maybe it was like I'm still trying to figure out, was this the first time he had dealings with the sorcerer? Like, is he the reason why he's been getting all this money? Or was he just messing with other like nobles, that excluding the sorcerer that was giving him all this money, so on and so forth, and he just caught, the sorcerer, basically wrong place, wrong time kind of situation. In which, remember, because after like he's seen the sorcerer turn his smelting lead into gold, he's like, "Oh my God, you're a sorcerer." So I think it was probably the first time they probably had any dealings, with each other. And he did take like the money, like it was like the first time he got it from the dude, but whatever, so on and so forth. So basically, we have Morgana trying to free Gwen's father, the blacksmith, but to no avail. And I believe Uther's father expected someone to try to free the blacksmith. He probably thought it was going to be Gwen, maybe even Arthur, but he was on it. He told his knights, as soon as you see this dude, kill him on sight. And they did. Killed him. Now, with him being dead, Gwen is heartbroken and honestly enraged. So is Merlin. Arthur, from the get-go, despite he caught, the blacksmith, Gwen's father, with the, with basically the gold medallion. No, it wasn't a medallion. It was remember, like I talked about the lead and how the sorcerer turned the lead to like a gold kind of jewelry, like stone or something along those lines. Even then, Arthur wanted to give him benefit of the doubt because he knew he was a good guy. And everyone's been telling Uther, you have been too steadfast on this, man. You've gone to a point at which your logic is just like utterly ridiculous. So I think Morgana goes off on Uther about her killing, Gwen's father, and Uther puts Morgana in a cell. And I believe the sorcerer who was responsible for, Gwen's father getting murdered in the first place, he comes back to try to retrieve the golden stone from earlier in the episode. But Gwen doesn't have it. Morgana has it. So when Morgana is let free by Uther, it was kind of a mistake. Because this is when Morgana and Torrin, the sorcerer guy, meet up. And they hatch a plan to get Uther out of Camelot so he can get murdered, in a way to avenge Gwen's father. And also, like this whole season, we see how ridiculous Uther's, his judgment is, how stubborn he is. Like I was saying, like it's like repeating over and over again. Like he's an a-hole and a dick. So Morgana's like, I had enough of this. I've been doing this for 18 years or 60 years, however how old she is, whatever. Actually no, probably like 10 years or so, 10, 12 years. Because this connects to the reason why, they was able to get him out to Camelot. And it was to basically pay respects to his fallen friend, who was Morgana's father, and I believe Uther considered him his best friend. And the way Uther described, him to Morgana during their while they give respects to him, in a way, he sounds a lot like Merlin. Like, he was always good. He always told me things, even if I didn't want to hear it. He was always there when I needed him, so on and so forth. And while this is going on, Morgana is starting to really understand Uther. And I think it's like the first episode, honestly, in this series in which, besides when Uther fought the Black Knight, in which we really see Uther's humanity in the sense of he actually opens up. He's not really a hard ass, essentially. And while he's going on about it, Morgana says, well, every time I try to say anything to you, you don't listen to me. You basically just totally ignore me. And we see him apologize. And I think it's like the first time in the series he actually apologized for something. The first time. He hasn't even apologized to Arthur, but he apologized to Morgana, saying that he's stubborn or hot-headed, he could be irrational, and he apologized for it. And he hopes that, like Morgana's father, she could find the strength to forgive him for his flaws and for killing Gwen's father, which was wrong. Which connects to what's happening, because remember how I mentioned how Morgana and Torin, the sorcerer, and his goonies have planned to basically get, the king, King Uther, out of Camelot to, get him in a position of vulnerability, paying respects to his friends, monument, whatever, or his little stone, and kill him there. So before this happens, before they even get there, we have Merlin speak with the dragon about what to do about Uther. And Merlin finding out, essentially, that about the whole plan of murdering, Uther with Morgana and the sorcerer. So the dragon's like, listen, who cares, bro? He's an evil a-hole. Let him die. And then let Arthur reign, because Arthur will be a far better king than his father. So Merlin agrees with that logic, but listen, Merlin is such a good character, and Merlin, even though he agrees, he's like, but he's still like the king, and he's also still a human being, even if he is an a-hole, so he goes to Gwen to try to make his decision, his choice, or whether to let this go down or not. So he asks Gwen, and Gwen is rightfully enraged, like I mentioned before, she's enraged, she's pissed, and she really does hate the king for murdering her father, but she says something really powerful to Merlin. I don't want the king dead, because if I want him dead, or if I did it myself, it wouldn't make me any better than him. I'll be just as much a murderer as he is. So that hits Merlin to his core, and that gives him the motivation to actually try to prevent the murder from happening. So we see Merlin get the staff. Now, I'm trying to remember where he got that staff from. Oh, that was from the episode in which Merlin saved Arthur from marrying that girl that was trying to take his heart in order to live forever with her little weird, sidekick, whatever. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So, Merlin gets there just in time. It takes out a few of Torin's men, but he's unable to stop Torin. So, Torin isn't, if I remember correctly, Torin and King Uther wrestle for a bit. And it was actually a pretty entertaining fight. I was surprised the king was still, giving him a fight. Then again, this dude fought the Black Knight and gave him one hell of a fight, even though he's clearly out of his prime. But either way, since Torin's younger and has more vigor, he basically has the advantage, and he's about to strike the killing blow on the king before Morgana stabs him, killing him in the process. So basically, guys, that's how the episode ends. We have Morgana and King Uther hugging, and Morgana forgiving King Uther. And yeah, that's how the episode ends, basically. So if I missed anything, you guys, write some comments down below. Once again, thank you guys for watching my review. Adios. I give this episode a 9 out of 10.